What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about 3 tips for shorter quarterbacks to be successful, okay? So the first thing we're going to be talking about is one of the number one keys to being a shorter guy at the quarterback position and how you guys can kind of be on time with throws, make accurate throws, and then we're going to talk about how your footwork applies heavily as a shorter quarterback and how you guys can extend the play and get out of the pocket. So I hope this video helps you guys out, but also, fellas, if you'd like to get some work in with us this offseason, we are traveling out to 5 more states across the U.S. for 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camp. So if you guys are local to the Columbus, Ohio area, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, or Los Angeles, California, we are coming out to each one of those states for 2 whole days, 4 hours each day of training. So it's a small group environment, fellas. We're limiting spots, only 10 to 12 guys in your specific position group. So we're keeping things small so we can actually coach you guys up and help you get better. So if you're interested in that, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our camps. Let's get started. So now, first things first, when you see shorter guys, like the big stigma is like, why is even you being shorter on the side of things as a quarterback even a problem for a lot of people? And it's because of the false claim, I say, of being able to see over the line, right? Now, there are some situations, yes, I was a short guy. I'm not above 5'10". Very, very small guy when it comes to a quarterback position. That's what I played my whole life, right? So when you're playing quarterback, there are going to be a lot of times where you cannot see. But when you can see, you're never looking over anybody. You got linemen, like even if you're 6 foot as a quarterback, you got linemen that are 6'3" plus when you get to that college level. You're not going to be seeing over those guys anyways, right? So you're playing through something we call throwing windows. So this is a perfect example of that from Kyler Murray. So I'm going to play this thing full speed. The throw is not so much what I want to talk about here, but you see how he's got a clear-cut window, and that is what he is looking through. That's what you have to think about as a shorter quarterback. There's a reason why, quarterbacks that are on the shorter side of things have success in college, and a lot of the quarterbacks have success because of on-the-field stuff at the next level in the NFL, because they understand this principle. Like, no short quarterback has ever, been at that level and not been successful, right? Nobody's ever been able to say, like there's a guy who gets to the NFL, oh, he's not successful because he's short. It's usually off the field issues, stuff that you can't control. But on the field, they all have this same idea where they're playing through windows. You look at guys like Drew Brees. They're never looking over guys. You're never going to see over a lineman if you're below 6 foot. You just won't. You just have to accept that. So you playing through these throwing windows is where you have to live and where you have to be pretty much just making all your reads. Now, again, it's not always going to open up like it does right here, where you got a perfect throwing window. You could read the field. You see everything. You got your read key defender. There are going to be times where you have to buy time, and that's what we're going to be talking about next. So I'm going to play this full speed one more time. So make sure, first thing as a shorter guy, you got to get comfortable looking through throwing lanes, not trying to look over somebody. So now, here's another example of Kyler Murray. He's going to be hitting this drag route across the field. This is one of the toughest throws for shorter guys because you cannot see. You just simply cannot see. So your footwork in the pocket is what will set you up to get to that throwing window that we like to talk about. So let's play this thing full speed. So Kyler Murray drops back, and you see how he's working to find a window. It's not like he's going to be just standing here trying to stand up super tall looking over his lineman. He's trying to get to this throwing window here. So he starts to buy a little bit of time. He starts to look. He starts to drift to create that opening for himself so he could see his receiver. You have to get very, very comfortable with these types of movements as a shorter quarterback because you got to change the way we play the game as shorter guys is completely different than how a 6'4" pocket passer would play the game. Like, they have the luxury of being able to drop back. They get some outside pressure. Okay, we could step up in the pocket. I'm just going to step up because I'm taller than everybody. It's easier for me to see through throwing lanes. But if you're 5'10" below, you got to be very, very comfortable with off-platform throws and moving awkwardly in the pocket. When I train a shorter quarterback, the main focus that we do is everything's going to be uncomfortable. And it's going to be a very, very tough throwing session because that's how the game is played for us, right? Like, every single throw that you make, you should try to put yourself in the most uncomfortable position possible. Because you see how Kyler Murray, in this case, rather than stepping up and maybe stepping over, what he does is he's getting outside pressure, so he starts to drift back to create the throwing lane. He cannot see right here. It's impossible to see over these guys when you are short. So you have to buy time. You have to work with your feet. You have to have your feet constantly moving, and you have to have that ball constantly ready to get out of your hands because when you move around, obviously that just creates a little bit more time. right? So many guys, what they'll do is they'll stand in the pocket and they don't have this base. They don't have this ball carriage. What they do is they stand very tall because they're trying to see over guys and they don't accept the fact, hey, you're never going to see over those guys. So what Murray does such a great job of is he's preloaded. He's got weight on the back leg. He's already got that ball ready to go. So when he moves out of the pocket here, it can get out of his hand as soon as he needs it to. Okay, I see the throwing window. I created this lane for myself. I can get the ball out of my hands, right? But a lot of guys, they stand very tall and maybe they drift out. And then what they have to do is they have to load up. They dip down and then they have to bring the ball up to their ear, a good throwing position. That takes too much dang time. We have to have this ball ready to get out of my hands at all times. My base is always in a preloaded position, which means that I have about 70% of my weight on my back leg so I could transfer it through at any moment. Because when we have to buy time as a short quarterback, we are wasting time. But if I can create those throwing windows for myself, I can be successful in the pocket. You have to be able to do this, fellas. You cannot be a short guy and be one-dimensional and be that guy that can only throw a first read, can be the guy who can only get off and throw on the run when it's a regular sprint out call. You got to buy time if you want to play at the next level. That's why these guys are very successful. Watch any kind of tape of shorter guys. Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Drew Brees, even Manziel when he was at his successful peak. And it wasn't like he didn't make it in the league because of on-field stuff. The guy could definitely play, and he's in the NFL. He's a talented guy, and he got to that level. He won a dang Heisman, right? And he got his education paid for, which should be the goal for a lot of you guys. His stuff was off the field. It wasn't like he couldn't play on the field. Those guys have a different way of playing the game, and that's what you should be studying. You should look at how they move in the pocket, the throws that they make, how they go through windows, how they go through progressions. That's what you can take, those bits and pieces, apply it to your game. So let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. So as a shorter guy, we have to create throwing windows for myself by moving in the pocket, whether it's off platform, whether it's stepping up, whether it's stepping to the right, but get comfortable with uncomfortable throws when you are on the shorter side. Let's play it again, full speed. Great job by Murray drifting, creating a throwing window, and then finding that throw across the field. So now, last but not least, we're going to be looking at a clip here from Russell Wilson. So as a shorter guy, it's very, very tough to be a short guy and be a pocket passer. That's just like part of the reason what it is. We talked a little bit about it in the last clip that you don't want to be one-dimensional. You don't want to be the guy that can only roll out and throw on the run. Anytime he feels pressure, he gets out and he tries to take off and run. You're pretty much just an athlete who has a good arm, right? You want to be two-dimensional. You want to be the guy who can sit in the pocket, buy time in the pocket with his feet, but be able to stay in there and be able to take those hits, be able to keep a good base, be able to sit in the pocket and deliver a strike over the middle. And you also want to be the guy who can get out of the pocket. It is very, very tough if you're on the shorter side of things and you're not mobile. We get that question a lot. Hey, coach, what if I'm a short quarterback, but I'm slow? It's like, dude, you got to get faster and you have to get more mobile. I'm not saying you got to run a 4.3 40, but you got to be able to extend the play because sometimes you're going to be in the pocket, play's going to break down, you won't be able to see, and maybe there aren't any throwing windows that you can create with your feet. You got to get out of the pocket. So Russell Wilson, this is a great example of this, right? So when he comes out of the pocket, again, loses a throwing window, doesn't have anything, gets out. We have to be able to extend the play and not make necessarily maybe this type of throw because that's a very, very next level throw, but we got to be able to extend the play. We have to be a passer first, and that's another thing that I want to get across. So number one, cannot be one-dimensional and be only a pocket passer. Have to be able to extend the play. Number two, when you guys get out of the pocket, we have to be a passer first. Now, there are a lot of you short guys out there that play quarterback who are very fast, very athletic, and you try to rely on your athleticism a little bit more than you should be. And I was one of those guys as well. Anytime that I'd be sitting in the pocket like this, because the way I would train, right, and it was a mistake, is that anytime that I would work throwing on the run, it would always be like a sprint out situation where it was like, okay, a designed sprint out off a play action, whatever. I'd be able to get my shoulders square, chop my feet down and throw. So when the play broke down, I wasn't comfortable with these uncomfortable situations. I'd get pressure, I'd have to escape, but because I was a little bit faster than everybody else, I could just take off and run and go make a play and just get out of bounds and get it easy 7 yards. But why get 7 yards when I could get maybe 20 yards, right? Get the ball to a playmaker like a receiver who could go make a play for me rather than me just getting a measly 7 yards. And sometimes you need to pull it down and run. I'm not saying that, but you got to make sure that we are a passer first. So when you guys are training, you got to be working these situations where you get out of the pocket and you're running away from a guy. You don't get to run downhill. You don't get to get your belly button squared up to the target. You don't get to rotate your front shoulder, chop your feet. You got to be comfortable with these types of throws. Being able to run full speed and being able to rotate your shoulders and throw on the run and be accurate while being chased and running towards the sideline. So as a short guy, you got to be able to do this. Extend the play, number one, and be able to get out of the pocket. Be somewhat mobile. Number two, you have to be able to throw from these uncomfortable positions. Everything a short guy does in the pocket, playing quarterback, is uncomfortable. So how you need to train train is very uncomfortable. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. A great example of Russell Wilson getting out of the pocket. Play breaks down, can't see anything, getting some pressure, and is able to buy some time with his feet, get out of the pocket, and deliver a strike downfield. That's exactly how the game needs to be played as a shorter quarterback. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. Always great to hear from you guys as usual. And again, fellas, if you're local to the Columbus area, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, or Los Angeles and would like to train with us this offseason, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our off-season camps. I'll see you guys next time.